Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charnley, and this is another Worcestershire church. Now, this is the church of St. Peter, Astley. Astley is best known as the birthplace and burial place of the hymn writer Frances Ridley Havergal. And I apologise for mispronouncing the name. I've never heard it spoken, only seen it written. Her father, William Henry Havergal, was the rector here between 1829 and 1841, and she was born in December of 1835 in the old rectory, what was then the rectory, which is directly, more or less directly to the west of the church. So she spent her early life here. Her father loved church music, and no doubt she got her love of music, which of course led eventually to her hymn writing from him. So we'll have a look around and we'll see there are certain relics here relating to Havergals as well as earlier parts of the history, because you can see behind me this is a Norman church. And so where do we begin? We begin at the west end, of course. You can see the pews have been taken out a good long time ago, because those rush seated chairs, they're not modern by any means. There would have been box pews in here, of course, in the 1820s, 30s. The pulpit is still the one that would have been there at the time, and the font's a lovely bulbous thing. This, of course, is the very font at which William Henry Havergal baptised his daughter. We've got here a picture or a print of Havergal College 1894 to 1995. I believe it's in the United States somewhere. Oh no, it's in Canada, sorry, that's a Canadian flag. So North America, almost, but it's in Canada. And here we have at the back the record, the copy of the record in the baptismal register, recording that on January the 25th, Frances Ridley, daughter of William Henry and Jane Havergal, was baptised, and she'd been born, January the 25th, 1837, and she was born on the 14th of December, 1836. So 1836, and then burial, she died in 1879, and she's buried then on June the 9th, having died at Swansea, aged 42. We have here, you can see there's a funerary hatchment. This aisle, of course, has been enlarged. Yes, this is a Norman arcade, and so you've got this nice little face here who looks at you. Quite a good face for a Norman arcade. Some of the Norman faces can be very, very basic. Memorial here to Sarah, wife of Sambrook Freeman of Fawley Court, Buckinghamshire, and she was born locally and is buried at Fawley in the family mausoleum. Here we go into the North Chapel, and we have here a couple of 16th century tomb chests for the members of the Blount family, and you can see that they are painted. Obviously the paint has been renewed, but this very much does reflect how they would have looked. They were supposed to be painted. They were not supposed to be left bare stone. All too often today what we see is bare stone, but they're supposed to be painted. You can see here the daughters, Anne, Elizabeth, Joyce and Isabel, and these are the older Blounts. This is Walter Blount and his wife Isabel, and he died in, so she died in 1562, and then the other side we have Robert and his wife, and he died in 1573. And then we have some Winford memorials here. That's a copy of a medieval altarpiece, and then this is obviously 17th century memorial. It's unreadable for various reasons. Looking into the chancel, nice arch. And of course this has been, you can just see there, that's a window that would have been an outside window. This arch has been cut through so this chapel can be made. This is of course the organ, these are the pipes, and down here is the console, the organ console. So it's played from down here, and you've got a plate there saying Nicholson and Co, Palace Yard, Worcester. And Nicholson is still in business, although they're now based in Malvern rather than in Worcester. Obviously a lot of the organs in Worcestershire are Nicholson organs, for the fact that Nicholson is based there in Worcester. This is this lovely Jacobean pulpit. As I said before, it's the Jacobean era when it becomes necessary to have a pulpit. Otherwise it's optional. There's a nice pedal harmonium. It's the kind of thing that Frances Ridley Havergal would have had. You can see it's a very portable item. You could just need a porter or so to move it around if you're going around hotels and things. Up into the chancel here, and we have, there's the blouse, you can see there, that is Francis and I suspect Robert on the other side, and the nice lie at his feet there. There's a lovely neoclassical memorial here to Sarah Winford, who's the widow of Thomas Winford of Glasshampton, and mother of Sarah, whose memorial we saw back in the aisle. Nice east window here. Reverend Charles Burrell Cooks, youngest son of the late Reverend Thomas Cooks, and he died in Cheltenham. There's a little bit of medieval glass up there. We have another couple of nice old memorials, and these are with dates on them. 1690, yes, they're late 17th century. And then this is Reverend Denham James Joseph Cooks, who was rector here. And there seems to have been a series of Cooks rectors. Go thou and do likewise, a nice Victorian window, and back into the nave where it's unfortunate they've taken the wall plaster off, because it makes a rather dark interior, and it was supposed to have wall plaster. We saw at Heitington how that wall plaster would have been decorated back in the Middle Ages. Again, these Victorian windows, and that's a modern window which is a little bit arty, as they tend to be, but that's how it goes, modern day. And there's the doorway. Of course the doorway is Norman, as we'll see when we go outside. So let's do that, shall we? Go outside. And so we're outside Astley. It's actually started raining now. I looked at the forecast and it said it's not going to rain until the afternoon, but it's, what, 10:30 this morning, and it's raining. Never mind. We'll have a look around. I mean, this is England. What do we expect? It's England. It rains in England. So we'll have a look around the outside and try not to get too wet while doing it. And so here we are. This is, of course, the south side. You can see the Norman nave and chancel, and both of them retain an awful lot of Norman work. I mean, the nave, as we approach, you can see you have what's called the corbel table, which is those faces at the top of the wall underneath that. It's very, very fancy Norman church, actually. This is very, very posh with those external pilasters. And this is the base of the churchyard cross. As we noted before, in the Middle Ages, you didn't have individual gravestones for the most part. You had churchyard crosses that represented everybody. You'd have a marker for a while, and then when the marker rotted away, then there was just that general memorial to everybody, which was the churchyard cross. And so you can see there Norman work, and it does look like it's been extended eastwards, which would make sense because Norman chants are often very short, but as the Eucharistic liturgy is elaborated in the 13th century, it's extended and expanded. Here we are, the east window, and this is all the red sandstone. Just see down there the field, and hopefully you can see the red of the local ground, which is the red of the sandstone. we'll have a little look up the north side, but going to the north side is difficult because that's where the old rectory is. You can see that up there. That is the house where Frances Ridley Havergal was born. It's now a private house, of course, as so many are. There's the tower, which is largely 15th century, I think, and there's the chapel, which of course has been added to the end of the aisle. But the aisle itself has been rebuilt at some point. Table tombs, and that table tomb is basically showing off. We are important, an important family. It's a status symbol. So much is status symbols. Today, of course, status symbols are more to do with having a posh car or something like that. But back then, things to do with burial could be a status symbol. This is a very posh one here. Now, as we move, you can see those by the path. Those are pinnacles off the tower. They've been taken down and replaced with new ones at some point. And through again the old graveyard here. And as we go, there's the gates that lead into the old vicarage, or the old rectory rather. And there's the old rectory. It's a nice, solid structure. And as we come around here, we find this is the memorial. That's what we're looking for. I think this is it. That's this. Just trying to find Frances Ridley Havergal's memorial. I don't think that's it. Be over here somewhere. It's within. That's 1:45. It's within sight of the old rectory. Oh, here we are. Frances Ridley Havergal. See there. Youngest daughter of the Reverend W.H. Havergal and Jane, his wife, born at Astley Rectory, December 1836, died at Castle Bay, Swansea, 3rd of June 1879, aged 42. By her writing in prose and verse, she being dead yet speaketh, the blood of Jesus Christ his Son cleanseth us from all sin. Of course, later in life she became associated with the Keswick movement. So that is, and just there is where she was born. And there is, of course, at the church where her father was the rector. Also, there we have it, Astley in Worcestershire. A beautiful building in itself, and with that added historic connection. It's wonderful to see such a high status Norman building in this sort of condition on the outside. But it's all the more wonderful to know that back in the day, we know the gospel was preached here because we know that William Henry Havergal was a gospel preacher, an evangelical man. Don't know what the ministry here is like today, so often the case, unfortunately. But one can but pray, and certainly it can still be said, as it is on the tomb, she being dead yet speaketh, because we still sing the hymns written by that lady who was born here so long ago in 1836. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.